Uh, hey. Okay, I think we're good. Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokwena. I am your host. This is a show where we speak football, guys. We love speaking football. And it's a chance for us to interact with those things. Of course, today is a members only show. So the people you are going to be hearing speaking are my official overthinkers, the guys who contribute towards the show, the breadwinners of the show that help keep the lights on and all of that stuff. As part of the perks is a Friday show where the topic is chosen. Well, the topics are suggested, then we vote, and then we speak about the topics. Today we're going to be speaking about three things. Number one, a very interesting topic that has gotten a lot of people up in arms this week. And I'm not going to speak about this topic directly, but it goes towards what we were speaking about. This week I released a video about Tshwane versus Dr. Khumalo, which caused a lot of stuff, a lot of backlash. But in the group, we sort of expanded that conversation and had a conversation about whether in general, when we speak about our knowledge of football back then and what we watched, are we being truthful about the levels of the PSL back then versus the PSL right now? And maybe we could even speak about it on the world stage. You know, was the PSL that good back then, or did we have enough information? Did we see enough of it? Are we being sure, or is it just an emotional connection to that time that then influences how we feel about today's PSL and how we rate the players and all of that? Then we're going to speak about two matches that are happening tonight. I will be live for both of them. We're going to be watching have a watch along for Banyana versus Nigeria, and it's an Olympic qualifier. First leg is today. Then I believe it's Tuesday when they play the second leg. Then Mamelodi Sundowns is playing the second leg of their quarterfinal in the Champions League. Sorry about the beeping, guys. That is WhatsApp. But anyway, they're playing the second leg of their quarterfinal, the Champions League quarterfinal versus Young Africans. First leg was a 0-0. Tonight, 8 p.m., they're going to be playing Young Africans with the hopes of winning that game and going through to the semi-finals. Guys, welcome, guys.
Thank you.
And
Oh,
Do you know
hey,
what's so
what do you
funny?
mean?
Do you know what's
What do you
funny about
mean?
this lineup today?
Yeah.
We are sworn adversaries from Pirates, Chiefs, and Sundowns.
Wait, are you talking about me from Chiefs or Theo from Chiefs? Because Theo, we don't know. Some days he's with you guys.
Yeah, no, I know it makes sense why he's confused. But we declined his membership. We declined him.
So, guys, let's get straight into it. Like I said, I had a very interesting week where, hey, a lot of people were coming in and telling me about Doctor versus Tshwane, to a video that I did where everybody was going back and forth. And, you know, one of the points that I had raised and one of the points that were raised in the group is that, can we really trust what we saw in 2000, some of us, what we saw in 2000, what we had access to, and all of those type of things, when we have these conversations about the best, this team, this era was better than the last era, this player was better than that one, can we actually trust it? And let's start there, guys. I'm going to just be blunt. Has the PSL improved, or has the PSL improved or declined in comparison to back then?
Okay, I'll go first. Ne? I think the PSL overall it has improved. Ne? The only decline that we see in the PSL era, I don't wanna is the supporters' participation. I mean, like in the sense of supporters going to the stadium and actually watch the games. That's the only thing that has declined that I've seen with the PSL. I mean, like right now we've got better facilities. We've got
Hosintabi, mute, come on, Hosintabi. Welcome, hello, Hosintabi. There we go. Come on.
Yeah, as I was saying, right now, the PSL is properly managed in terms of finances, viewership, sponsorships. It's run like a business and not something that Brazil has, and taking the players at the back of his car or bakkie to the stadiums. There's proper structures. There's, it's world class, quite frankly. Ne? Understand we do have some challenges, but even the play has improved. Like back then, ne? It used to be like a Phillies game type of thing, and with no disrespect to Phillies games, you know what they do. Ne? It was a bit of that, but we've seen where even our play, it has to be on the standard of international play so we can compete. So I believe it has improved. And if your question, if I hope I'm answering it correctly, ne? If it also includes the players, I think the golden generation, Dr. Kumal and the likes, ne? The way it was perfect back then. Ne? One could argue say the PSL has become softer in terms of like player protection, but in the past, I agree we know who you hardly got a red card. A lot of people were getting away with murder, with their dangerous tackles and whatnot. There was no VAR. People can argue VAR is regression, but in Africa we appreciate it because when it's properly utilized, it does its job properly. But when you look at EPL, get the different story. So overall, PSL improvement.
Malebe Kutso has in your opinion, just straight first, has the PSL gotten better or gotten worse in comparison to the quote unquote old PSL?
Look, Mr. Uzi, if I give you a straight answer, it will not do justice to what I'm thinking. So can I just unpack it a bit?
No, go ahead.
I think it depends which era, right? And because Velo, the past has, even last year is involved in the past, so we need to be more elaborate about it. I would say it's more of a there has been a decline if we're starting from the top of the PSL, right? Then when we come to the middle, so there was a point where we were very high, and then we came and then there was a sharp, not necessarily sharp, but a nice gentle increase from then on. You understand? So I would say if we're talking maybe about 90, 99, not 99, but 90, 96, 95, 96, 97, 98, I would say 99, maybe the PSL was quite high. If I'm using numbers, I'd say it was at like an 80. And then couple 2000, so it dropped to like 50s. And right now, we're slowly moving upwards. We're like there by 65 and on. You understand? So we can see an improvement from yesteryear. However, if we go back further, then the graph would tell us something different. There's been a decline. And what would I base that on? Even now, when we reference Sundowns, we reference their ability to compete on a global scale, you understand? Or rather, continental scale. And that's what we back the current PSL on, to say, look at what these guys are doing. They're able to compete with their peers elsewhere. However, if you go to 95, 96, 97, 98, up to 2000, both at club level, we had Pirates securing the titles. And even when we go to international level at national team, we had Bafana actually winning the AFCON. So across all spheres, we were covered, whether it's club football or national team. So there was a clear distinction to say Bafana in South Africa are competitive. There were no holes. Right now, there is that one hole where we can ask, but what about Bafana? However, there's been an improvement, which is why I would say it was a dip, and then there's a flatter improvement than before. You understand, Mr. Oti? I don't know if I'm making sense. And if someone was to say, but you were playing teachers and engineers, it's not that we were professionals as well. We were also in the same Yeah, I understand. We were facing the same problems, Nati, where some people had to kind of have dual careers, and actually they still do Namanje, Mr. Oti. It does not point to your inability to play, but actually your ability to play. The fact that you can juggle two careers. So I would say, if I'm to use faces, I would say that the PSL of Dr. Kumalo is the highest, and then the PSL of Abu. Respectfully, guys, the PSL of Abu Tekomji is quite low, and then and he's a good player. I'm just using the main faces, and then the PSL for Tembazwane is quite higher than Yabo Teko, but much lower than Yabo Doctor. Well,
Theo,
not playing the PSL, but I'm just speaking of South African football in general.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you
yeah.
get not as significant, but I think you get what I mean.
Okay, Theo, has the PSL improved era on era in your eyes?
Okay, let me greet you, Mr. Oti, greet everyone in the panel, and the guys subscribe to the show, please. Mr. Oti, first and foremost, I hear both points that have been made by Ukumo, Nabutu Kutsone, but can I rather divide it into four sections, and I'll be quick as possible.
Okay.
I'll first divide it in the commercial side of the PSL, the financial side of the PSL, and then the talent production, which is like talent management of the side of the PSL. Yeah, then the fourth one I'll take it on as we carry on. Or the competitive side. Ne? As far as I'm concerned, I think who are right now just made it a bit clearer. Guys, we PSL they are coming from an apartheid era, Mr. Oti. So they had to work while playing, and then the money back then was not as it was right now. Also, but if you look at the competitiveness of back then and now, hence that's why you have about Quintin Fortune, about Dr. Kuma. I think 70% of the players of that back era they went abroad, Mr. Oti. And that's not a joke. And that shows how competitive it was. And then if you were to look at the financial side of it, the money that was put in it back then was not the same as it is now. Players are able to get monies like Abu Pilat. Pilat, I think, left with more than 30 million from Chiefs alone. Yeah, so that alone should tell you Guti PSL now is more financially equipped than it was before. Whereas look, you hear about I'm a player manning guys. Oh guys, that's why I'm they are busy seeking jobs. My presenter or my soccer and but to get back to the quality side of talent, quality side of it, when it comes to talent, Mr. Uchi, I think it's lacking now. It's lacking blind. That's why you had to discover Tembazwane at his old age. That's why you had to find what talks about who's this guy, Abu Penny, Abu Quintin Fortune, as I mentioned. Man, those guys they played in their small time eras there, Abu. And man, they did their thing. But compared to Nale PSL Hamad, there's a big difference. The competitive side of it, I would say now it's not competitive. And I said this last time, Abantu Bang Pesha, but for me, PSL is not competitive. That's why Sundowns has won the PSL 7 times in a row. Back then, Mr. Oti, we were able to bring about Tottenham, to compete in about Chiefs. That will better equip them with Mabago PSL, but in a better standard or something like that. But now you look at it, guys, and I know people are gonna say I'm saying PSL is not competitive because Chiefs is not competing. But the truth is, if Chiefs and Pirates guys are not at their best, the PSL is boring. Sorry to say that, but that's the truth. But when it comes to players now, when you have to compare the likes of Abu Teko Modis, Abu Dogs, Abu Banbani, I think it's a bit unfair, Mr. Oti. It's a bit unfair because, we are lacking a lot of things. And one of them is the fact that you have players who played in different eras, who faced different situations, but some of them they were able to go abroad and make names for themselves. But now, if you have to compete them and challenge with players that have only been in South Africa, that have not even thought of going abroad or competing abroad, I think that's kind of unfair. Yeah, that's my point on that.
I just want to jump in and say, this is what makes the conversation so interesting. I wanted to start us off by asking just a general question so that we can get a general feel of it. I'm one of the people that had been saying that, the old PSL was so nice and it was so entertaining and you could watch any game and all of that stuff. But the conversation we had in the group really got me thinking about, am I being fair and unbiased when I'm saying that? What am I basing it on? Do I have the information? And I want to zoom in on that word that you used, Theo, competitive. Kumo, can we say that last year the previous eras of the PSL were more competitive or less competitive? Or are we just saying that because now we see a Sundowns team that is dominating and everybody else is poor? But when you look back on the records, you know, Sundowns won leagues before, Pirates and Chiefs were winning leagues, they were dominating. Is it fair that we say that?
First of all, Chiefs and Pirates have never dominated any national league ever at any point. That's SuperSport and Pirates, teams from Pretoria. No, the problem is that in Theo, the league, whether Chiefs is not competitive, it's failing. For us, it's entertaining because we are failing. That's what we like. So yeah, okay, let's get that out of here. I think it's because I mean, like, okay, fine. I can see why people would be upset because of Sundowns. A large portion of it is because of stems from jealousy, and the other one I can like, okay, yeah, but hey, we are achieving too much, and most teams really can't afford to compete against us. But having said that, what are you doing? Why aren't you fighting for position 2? Why isn't the relegation dogfight also competitive? Because I understand top 2 might be difficult for some people to acquire, but even when you play against your peers, I don't see anything interesting. There's nothing competitive there. So you can't solely put the blame on Sundowns. Like, for instance, when SuperSport won the league 3 times, Sundowns went and brought on your Pitsos, brought on your Idiskis, they brought on quality people. And it took time for them to actually win that league 3 times in a row. Like Chiefs thing was always one cup, one season. There was no dominant because of like they were winning something and you thought the Chiefs was very competitive. They tried to make it like Sundowns. Okay, Chiefs tried to actually challenge Sundowns for the league titles. They tried, but it didn't really get momentum, and there was something lacking. Then like there was this era where Sundowns was winning the league. Then the next season was Chiefs'. Then we won. Then Chiefs tried to win. Then we overtook them. Remember what happened? Yeah, that was then. But there are some teams that are coming.
Oh, Kumo.
Only they could do this. No, man, someone tried to call me. Sorry, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, no, we can hear you. But I think, Kumo, before you go on there, I guess the question is more to do with the league as a whole. Because I feel as though there's a myth we've been told that right now, because Sundowns is at the top and so far away from everybody, the league is not competitive. But is it true that it was competitive at a time, or are we just making things up? Because as you say, Pirates, SuperSport, Pirates and you guys, Sundowns, in terms of league titles, were leading, I guess, going back and forth. You had the SuperSport winning 3, but we don't speak about the rest of the league of those times. And is it maybe a little bit of a bias when we say that, this league is uncompetitive today because Sundowns is at the top, but then when Pirates was on the top and Chiefs on the top, we don't speak about the state of the league then. Are we being biased when we say it's uncompetitive now? Maybe it wasn't competitive back then.
You know what? The league, we actually being biased because now we're looking at resources, and people believe it's because of it's Motsepe's man that made Sundowns to be where they are. Like in the 19s, we had your Santos, we had your Manning Rangers, we had teams that were like competitive and stuff. There was this team from Chatsworth, Chatsworth, man.
Durban City. Is it Durban City? No, never mind.
Yeah, it wasn't like those teams didn't have anything, but they actually won the league. I think so, or they won a cup somewhere there. But everyone more or less was on the same footing. Even though Chiefs and Pirates, Bloemfontein, financial in terms of support and commercial value, they were like there, but the gap wasn't as widened up as it now obvious for many teams. So I think if the gap had to be reduced a bit, people wouldn't be complaining as much, né? Because when a team from Pretoria, aka Sundowns, so when they play, you can see the starting lineup or it's superstars, and those superstars sometimes don't even play for 3 months. They're always on the bench. Then when you look at the team in Kimberley, Andre Lions, they're like, yes, Saba, well, that lineup. If those people there in my lineup, I could actually win the championship and actually get promoted. Now, when their favorite teams are struggling to compete with Sundowns, Skirleke, Sundowns is using whatever. The league is not competitive. It's gone to the dogs. But if it were the other way around, trust me, we wouldn't complain. We would actually put pressure on our owners to actually be like a Chiefs or Pirate is doing quite fairly well. Be like a Chiefs and say, yeah, that's what we want for the league. And you know what thing, né? With this dividing class and everything, it actually should be seen in another way in terms of like, this is the standard. We should aspire to be more like them instead of wanting a team to lower its standards so you guys can catch up.
Malume Kutso, when we say competitive, I hear people say, the league is less competitive now, or that Sundowns so far. Are we being biased in that maybe was the league like that the whole time, but now that it's Sundowns that's at the top, or now that Sundowns is open, maybe a bigger gap, maybe it's been like this, and maybe we are being biased with how we view these things?
Look, Mr. Uti, I would say my complaint was the lower teams, to say the lower teams are also as competitive, right? However, if we look at back in the day, right, and back in the days, wherever I land right now, we did have Abu Santos being able to compete, and it was more based on football, if I may. And I'm not saying that I'm not playing football. I'm just saying if you could put out a good lineup, you'd be able to compete. But Mr. OT, like, we can't run away from it, Mr. OT. Even their fans, they're tripping and actually saying it without saying it. The other team has bought almost everyone, Mr. OT. And we can say go and scout, but they don't scout. I hear them sometimes lying to each other saying, hey, we must praise our scouting people. No, you just buy whoever is hot, and if they sink, you pretend as if you never bought them. If they succeed, you're like, yeah, we buy what fits for the team. Let's not forget Umaluleke was bought by this team. Was he a good fit for the team? Why did he not play? Umtupa was bought by this team. Erasmus was bought by this team. I understand that, Mr. Uti. So we sometimes, and it's understandable, someone is achieving and we over romanticize it. I heard someone after a game, which we all agree that it was boring during the 90 minutes, come back the next day and say, wow, it showed that we stick to our plan. We did very well. And I was like, but come on, guys. But anyway, it's the human psyche. I would say, Mr. Uti, back in the day, it was more balanced. That's why there was more source in winning it. You understand? He line up your Chiefs, they line up your Pirates, and they line up even your Santos. We're balanced, Mr. Oti. You understand? You could pick the two teams, and I would argue maybe Chiefs was more of a bigger spending team, but even then, they weren't as super spending as the other team. You understand? It was more balanced that you could still say, even on paper, these teams can compete against each other, which is why leagues were being won on the last day. Leagues were being won maybe with 1 or 2 games to go. You understand? Can I imagine the other teams are significantly weakened, Mr. Oti? Significantly weakened. I mean, if you look back at the Happy People, you'll be shocked that actually the Happy People did not really buy much players, Mr. Oti. They had acquired some players here and there, but they were legit playing with high school kids. You understand? And that's the Pirates that people celebrate. Legit playing with high school kids. Bantwana benza matric, abanye benza grade 11.
Bowalaza.
Legit. Someone would think this is cow duck. No. Legit, these kids were coming back from school, taking number cocks and going to play the PSL. Omunye is a grade 11, omunye grade 10, omunye matric, which is what we're celebrating right now. Wow, these kids are still in school. Abo Walas, Abo Cheese Boy, they were in high school when they were doing it for Pirates. Abo Mheli, they were 19-year-olds. I don't know if someone wants to come on football age, it's fine. Even now, it still applies, yet we're still not seeing it. Abo Mheli, Abo Tso Vilakazi were there. Gifli Remy, kids, Mr. OT, bought from Abo Chimita, bought from lower teams or bought from high school teams or promoted from development, and that was Pirates. And if someone wants to claim that we were doing it through financial muscle, I think they need to go back and relook at that. You understand? And if I just want to respond to something, what's dominance? Sundowns has just defined it by going 6 seasons or whatever. But if I limit it to 2 seasons, is taking one trophy in 2 seasons, in 1 season and a half dominance? I would argue no. Is taking 3 cups in 1.5 season dominance? Someone would say yes. They understand. So let's not redefine things. There was a point where Pirates would take the league next season. Chiefs would take the league. Pirates would take the league next season. Chiefs would take the league. It might be a short period, but it is a period of dominance. Let's not rewrite history to suit ourselves in shame. Super dominated the league 3 times. You see, that's the thing. When SuperSport won the league, they had not gone on a spree of weakening other teams. You see, that's my problem, Mr. OT. When you deliberately weaken other teams, I think that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. When you and I will say it, when you deliberately weaken other teams, and Maluleke is a prime example. You can go wherever. When you deliberately weaken other teams, I think it makes it boring. And actually, the other teams are quite weak right now because of this modus operandi. And someone can say, but Pirates also signs players. We sign players to try and use them. Nothing else, Mr.
Okay.
But my answer, in short, is it was more competitive because people wanted to play football. But right now, it's really not, Mr. Oti.
Let me bring it to Theo. This word competitive, you brought it up when you were speaking. Are we being unfair with this statement? Oguti, yeah, dominate. Okay, it's Sundowns dominating league side. They're winning leagues. They're going to win 7 in a row. And now we're saying that it's not competitive. But then when we look at a history, it was still Sundowns, Pirates, SuperSport had it for 3, Bidvest won it for 1, Santos, Manning Rangers. It's not like all the teams are winning the league every single year and they could all win it anytime. You know, are we being disingenuous? It's more competitive or less competitive?
Mr. Oti, we need to create a platform from Abuti Kutubano Kumo. They have a beef. And in Melissa is true, beef. Yeah, it's very interesting. the funniest thing that Kumo quoted, I think, Mr. Oti, we are blindly following or we are blindly loving the league. Not in a sense of being open-minded and also not being in the box of our own teams, I understand. When I said, the league is no longer competitive, I'm not meaning winning the league. I mean player in quality players production, Mr. Oti, competitiveness within teams, within groups of teams, within the players themselves in the team, you understand? Like, let me make a practical example, Mr. Oti. Who Lodge bought from Paris to Sundowns? Do you think Lodge had to fight for a spot to get into the first team? No. Rulani loves him. He bought him because he loves him, and he's playing him because he loves him. But now the question is Sundowns at their competitive peak? Yeah, but at the moment, to be honest with you, I would say no, because at the league, there's no team that is bringing them to that point where they have to bring on their best players and play them at the same time. If you can bench a Sorino, Mr. Oti, that tells you a lot, Yabo. But I want to make an example with this one, with EPL. You look at Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. I don't want to bring the other teams because Abashopshila United. Those three teams, Mr. OT, in the past 10 seasons, I can say 10, Man City has won many leagues, right? But the question is, have they won leagues convincingly every season? You understand? Even right now, last week, Liverpool was playing Man City. We were hyped up. Last week, Man City was playing Arsenal. We were hyped up. Why? Because the league is at stake. Any team that can mess up, the league could be won by the other team. And I'm not saying this Kumuguti, Mangiti, Sundowns, and Chiefs and Pirates, when they are competitive, the league is interesting. I'm saying, even though they don't win the league, Mr. OT, but make it a point whereby Sundowns does what Pitso. You remember there was a time when we lost the league in the last game in Baroka. Pitso, I think it was 5 or 6 games before that game, Pitso came and said, the Chiefs is going to lose the league by themselves, right? If you check that statement, you'll realize Pitso knew, I'm not alone in this league. And even though I can win it, but I'm going to win it working hard, strategizing, to destabilize them. I understand. He knew he had to fashion ways to force them to make an error. And that's what I'm saying. If the league can be competitive, Mr. OT, I'm not talking about Sundowns dominating 5 seasons or whatever. I'm just saying let the other teams, about Stellenbosch, like they have money muscles. Why they are not making like Mr. OT? When did you last watch the game and thought Sundowns was going to lose? I'll wait. It's been a long time when you watched the game and you thought Sundowns was going to lose. But now we're going to watch them playing against Yanga tonight. I'm praying they're going to lose. I'm hoping they're going to lose. Why? Because I don't want them to win a second star so that they can be pride up or whatever. But I'm making an example. At least there's a way that we can come and say they're struggling or they're suffering. Not because they are winning straight every game, James. Imagine watching Sundowns from day 1 till day 29 or day 28 of the league or 25 for that matter. They've already won the league. That's not good, Mr. OT. They have not even lost a single game. Come on.
But
then,
yeah, that's my point. But then, Theo, aren't you being unfair even on that point? Because back in the day at the top of the league, it was a Pirates. Chiefs would maybe be number 2. And Bachinchisa now, okay, with Sundowns. Sundowns obviously won a lot of leagues as well. But they were changing up there at the top. Are we not being unfair? Because that's still 2 teams. That's still, even now, we're asking for 1 team to compete with Sundowns. When we compare the leagues from, let's say, position 3 downwards, surely it looks the same. And it's just that, man, SAPC bedlala ama-game 3. Once in a blue moon, I ends into, but can we make that argument?
Yes, okay, to be honest with you, I would say to take it a bit of a stretch, Mr. OT. There was an era where you had to think of about Jabupule, about Komodise, about Mokwena. You see, Mokwena. You will watch the game because you want to see those guys shine, you understand? You want to see those guys like bringing their best in the game, you understand? But the point that I'm trying to make is based on the teams now, let's forget the players now, on the team's perspective. Can you go and watch a game, your Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, Stellenbosch, and say, I'm going to leave out of this game knowing, it was an end-to-end stuff. For an example, Mr. OT, we were so much reluctant to even talk about the derby. We no longer talk about the derby as we used to do before. Why? Because there's no, like, aksana aggression, that thing that makes you as a fan, it's Sundowns. Mr. OT can say whatever he wants to say. About Khanye, they can say whatever. Deep down, they know if Sundowns is playing a game, they know the team that they are going to play against, if it's defensively, they're going to just score 1 goal or 2 and win. And that's it. But Guabona, deep down, they wish those days where they will play a game, playing at 2-3-2. Where you like, this game was very interesting. And nowadays, we don't see that. That's my point. Even though Mr. OT, Chiefs, the Pirates, they used to change number 1 and number 2, but you would not be convinced which team is going to dominate the league that season or which team is going to be at the best that season. But for me, the problem is if Sundowns can start the league, already we are saying they're going to win it before the league starts. That already tells me there's a problem. There's no competitiveness in this. We can talk about okay, but there's 2 points between number 2 and number 8. The question is it a lack of competitiveness or competitiveness? Because there's no confused lack of competitiveness. It's competitiveness because it's between these teams is this, and now ground in you don't know which team is gonna lose or win. But the question is there proper quality inside the pitch and also the competitiveness to say we want to be the dominant force, we want to pose a threat to Sundowns, even though we might not win the league, Mr. Oti, but make it interesting for them in the league.
Okay, no, let me keep going. But before I go, I want to give Malume Kuto the credit for the point about the Span deal. It was actually made in the group where he had said that do we really know what these players were doing and that they're really that good, or is it just because Umbonega Chiefs and then you think that yes, this guy is amazing, but when you look at the stats, maybe the stats don't back those things up, and maybe if we were to be truthful, the rest of the league was not as we put it. Kolani, welcome. Competitiveness. People are saying that back then the PSL was more competitive than now. Are we being unfair and are we being maybe a little bit biased? Because now Lokiana, it was what, 2-3 teams maybe, or 2 teams going back and forth for these things. We don't speak about the rest of the teams when we speak about overall competitiveness. Is it just us being, nostalgic?
Thank you very much, Mr. Oti, and afternoon to the guys. And thank you very much for reminding me it's topic, Mr. Oti, because I was a bit lost. The topic is about Sundowns or something. Yeah, Oti. Ukuto Ute PSL Dr. Kumalo was a bit higher than Leo Tekona Leo Tambazwan, because there was the AFCON and Perez also won the CAF Champions League. Yes, I'll argue with him and say, but Oteko by winning the Champions League. And bafana, I'll say we didn't have a good coach to select good players for Bafana. Hence, this time around, Hugo Bruce or decided, okay, since Sundowns are doing well with CAF Champions League, how about I select some players up because they have CAF experience? I so wish to know and another thing, Mr. Oti, sometimes we panel issue isn't true. I mean, back then there were like 70% of the players at the PSL higher per share. 70%.
That's amazing,
really. And so like besides what like team afana no Sundowns, Pirates and
I think he was talking about Bafana players.
Yes, Bafana please. Oh mara, that's why I counted Quincy for June, but they never played.
No, it's fine. Uzo rewind up for me, Mr. Oti, I would say it's been I think we are being unfair with Sundowns, because these Sundowns did win League Gatatu when Ute Dometro was our coach, and also Super Sport by winning League Gatatu with Gavin Hunt. So Masufaka Uti Sundowns are dominating because of the financial muscle. I think we've been unfair with Sundowns. And another thing, competition area man like that, Mr. Oti, was over unfair because like so I get the point that since we were new, we international football, and we did win our major cups. So it was about years of command, of which I find it a very, very fair. Good logo, Mr. Oti.
Let me bring an agent. Agent, we've had the back and forth about competitiveness a lot in the group, but I want to focus on the general statements that people make, that they say, this PSL is not competitive. The old PSL was more competitive, but are we basing those ideas on a little information, one, but also maybe a little bit of nostalgia?
Today, I don't want to talk about anything. I'm not going to talk about anyone. I'm just here to join the audience and listen to you guys.
You are
I can hear.
changing. Is Yanga
I
making
can
you
hear
change?
people. I can hear people talking about Sundowns is killing competition and mentioning only one example. But they've been killing Golden Arrows for years. But it's fine. Like I said, today I don't want to respond to anyone. I'm gonna keep quiet. On the competitiveness, I'll answer you another time. Let me just be an audience this time around. Thank you, guys.
You're taking because of later. We see a
Yatakazela.
Let me bring in Mhlambe. I'll just pass the question on to you since agent decided to leave it. Welcome.
Sure, okay.
No, Kishapo. What do you think about this competitiveness conversation?
OT, there's no such. You see, the topic here, if we're to be honest, this thing, competitiveness, it's all jealousy and Khaleli Sundowns for their success. There's no such, because we wouldn't be having such topic had Pirates or Chiefs doing what they're doing. So now, for me, now I've accepted that obviously Chiefs and Pirates supporters will never agree with the Sundowns is one of the best teams right now, and then they deserve to be where they are. They worked hard for what they're doing. So I mean, like, this topic for me, really right now, will you just talk just for mentoring? But then, if we're being honest, they are not necessary. We know Sundowns is the best because they work hard. They've got the proper structure. They've got proper players. Because now they are saying we won that league, that COVID league because we bought Maulek. Pirates just bought Mbata now. Super Sport. You never hear us, and I don't know if they bought or is a loan, but now January, you never hear us complaining about such things. So these things of competitiveness, it's jealous, man. It's I don't know what's the problem. So, but then we enjoy, as Sundowns, we enjoy these chest pains that Pirates and Chiefs are getting from us Sundowns. Now we hear statements like, "I wish Sundowns to lose the CAF Champions League match." What witchcraft is that, OT? I mean, Sundowns now it's representing South Africa and the PSL, and you come here on this platform and say you wish them to lose against the Ahly. That's witchcraft. That's witchcraft.
Guys, give him his time. I'm coming. Give him his time.
Support the PSL.
But you guys never supported the Chiefs when it was in the final, so don't start this thing, hey.
Wait, guys, it's a bigger convo.
Who says we never supported Chiefs? I supported Chiefs when they went to final. I supported.
Okay, let's stay in line, guys. Let's stay in line. Let me go to Mto quickly. Mto, the question that I'm asking really is, do we have nostalgia when we think back to the old eras of the PSL, especially when we have conversations about competitiveness and all of those things? You know, are we maybe making it seem as though back then it was so competitive, but we're really only looking at two teams competing at the top? We're only looking at maybe three teams maximum on a long-term basis, and maybe the competition is exactly as it is now. It's just that there's one super team that is gone, and maybe Abospan DL, Nabosban Bani that we reference all the time, maybe they weren't as good as we're saying now.
You know what I think it is, man? For me, I think back then it was a little bit more competitive because the league was changing hands. So most of the teams were challenging for the league. I mean, you could find the Mining Rangers and the Santos winning the league, which was strange. I doubt now Golden Arrows in this era can win a league and do what Santos and the Mining Rangers did at that time. So I don't think it's Sundowns' fault which the league it is what it is now. We can't blame Sundowns for that. But also there are some things that make the league a little bit uncompetitive from their side. I mean, you can't go and get your rivals, best players who launch or Orlando Money, Orlando, you know what I'm saying? And then you expect those rivals to match up. It's similar to what Bayern is doing with Bundesliga. This year, Bayern Leverkusen is definitely going to take the lead. Watch Bayern go and shop, go Bayern Leverkusen, and the next year they're going to dominate them. Yeah, so I hope we don't get to that point where it's going to be obvious, because if there's a team that's going to trouble the Sundowns, that's going to happen. But Nakona, I blame teams like the Chiefs, the teams like the Pirates. Have got the financial muscle to compete properly with the Sundowns, but they don't have the structure to do that. So for me, we can't blame Sundowns for being they're well organized. We can't blame. It's like blaming someone. I once read a tweet, someone blaming umntwana ukuthi distinctions because of Gavin. What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, it's not the child's fault. You know what I mean? So even if it's Sundowns, I'm looking at it from that point of view. It's not Sundowns' fault that they organize. It's not Sundowns' fault that they throw money in the players. The Sundowns, Chiefs and Pirates, they need to be doing that now when trying to attract. But unfortunately, you can't attract more players Sundowns, whereas you are not competitive yet. You first have to be competitive and win the league and show that you can win. And then you can go after more players Sundowns. They will want to go to Chiefs. I think that's what's happening. My play Pirates now, which is they want to go to Sundowns because the Sundowns is competitive. And unfortunately, that does have a little bit of an impact on the competitiveness of the league, because if Lodge, Abuge is Sundowns, if star players achieve, I don't know who I can call a star player now, which is because Aksana Bantu. Yeah, but in any case, you need to look at things more objectively. Sometimes has been the most organized, besides the fact that they're the most dominant. So that in itself causes the competition to be far behind. Yeah, until the Pirates and the other rivals match up, we will unfortunately be behind the Sundowns, and the league will look like a farmers' league, which it does. I mean, one team has won the league for the last how many years? No.
But then the tour has. Yeah, I think the big question is, again, when we look at it back in the day, I think in total since '96, 7 teams have won the league. In that 28 years that the league has been around, it's only been 7. Mamelodi Sundowns is far and away the most. But even before, I think they had the most, and then Pirates was second, even before the 7 year run. Abomining Rangers, Nabo Santos have only 1 league each. Was it competitive back then? Like, was it competitive, or are we just,
No, but back then it was so rare to find a team that was going to win 3 in a row. Yeah, but I think Sundowns maybe was the first one to do that. Yeah, but so. That's how it used to change hands. You could win 2 in a row. I remember Chiefs under Dimitro again, it won 2 in a row, and then there was another time where they won 2. And the Pirates, same thing, they won 2. So, but it used to change hands. That's what I'm saying. So when I look at the competitiveness, it's based on that, not based on which Sundowns was bad at that time. They were still good. But the league was slightly more competitive, because you could see Sundowns could fall to 3rd, because now it's Pirates and the Chiefs go top. It was changing. For me, that is what I think what people are talking about when they're talking about the competitiveness. As much compare the gap between the Chiefs, Pirates, or the Sundowns, or never mind Chiefs, Pirates. The Sundowns are number 2. That. So the league is not competitive, but it's not Sundowns' fault.
Okay. Let me go to Maronza. Maronza, same question. Welcome. Maronza, how's the Nina enalandeli Pirates ever since? Is there maybe a little bit of a bias there when we speak about the competitiveness in league?
We are not, man. Let me say this, right? I feel we are wrong when you point fingers at Sundowns. For the first time, I could make Sundowns. First time. Angithandi nje. Hayi phela bazi noma bala bakhona labayazi angithandi nje. Namhlanje yanga ngimeli ishaye phela lapha Sundowns lengisho.
Hey,
Ah,
man. Asikafiki kuyanga. Yes, allow. Hey, Mara, Maronzi.
Yeah, but we can't point fingers at Sundowns, to be honest, you know. We have 16 teams, all right? 16 teams which professional teams, which need to be run professionally. Whether unemali or unamali, you need to run those teams professionally. Let's go to Supersport. They have any money that you can talk about. Let's talk of Stellenbosch. They have money that you can speak of. Let's talk of Paris. They have big sponsors. Chiefs, big sponsors. Why are they not paying players the same level as Sundowns? Simple as that. If it's all about money, why can't you compete with money then? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Because players now they are not playing. Remember the olden days, players were playing maybe 11,000. Different 3,000, for example, right? Now the big gap. If you can check, maybe Skukuni they're paying them 120, and when we look at Sundowns, they're paying 350. That's a big gap, and all these teams are professional, so we cannot point fingers at Sundowns. Sundowns has 6 points, right, for Pirates, 6 points for Chiefs. If Pirates has to take the league, the only team that is trying to stop them is only have 6 points. They don't have 36 points. They have only 6 points. So why can't you beat all the other teams and then fight for that 6 points with the top team? Simple as that. I feel it's wrong for us to say Sundowns, what all those things. We are totally wrong. For the first time I have to speak, these teams are not being run professionally. It is all about business. That is where the problem is. And then Sundowns, they came up with somebody who doesn't understand football at all. And then when he came in, he started to make Sundowns the biggest team in Africa because of his strategy to run it. All these teams have been run the old way, all of them have been run I'm still saying it, the old way. You know, they don't have strategy, they don't have plans. I don't feel for example, Stellenbosch, they have plans. Because the only thing you can see that they can compete, but do they have plans for future? If you check, only young players there, right? Young players, they're sitting all the time. Supersport, do you have plans now? I don't think they have plans because they're selling players, the best players. We Sundowns, they're using them now to take the league. You understand what I'm trying to say? Manto, does she have plans? I don't think so, because Golden Arrows is going down there, lose 11 games with the players from Pirates, which most of the players are in Pirates. So I feel, man, this is all about, let me scratch my back, I'll scratch yours because I have money. Simple as that. So we can't blame Sundowns.
And
Sundowns
what's
has 6
funny?
points. 6 points. Every team, they have 6 points. They don't have 18 points or 20 points. They have 6 points for each and every team. So are you telling me Sundowns they're destroying the whole league? If they have 6 points for Chiefs, 6 points for Sundowns, 6 points for everybody? No. Win the other games. Simple as that.
Do you know what's funny? There was a comment that was made. I made a comment in the group that I feel as though my conspiracy theory is that I feel as though there was a gentleman's agreement in the league. I think everybody was fine with Chiefs and Pirates being on top, and you hear the chair people when they speak about Dr. Khoza and Bab Kaizer, when they speak about them for so much respect and reverence. I think there was a gentleman's agreement that, you know what, you guys, you don't spend that much. You've got the financial power, but you don't necessarily spend that much. So we can all just live in our corners and have that agreement. And I feel like Sundowns came and exposed that it doesn't seem like you want to get better. Feels like everybody's good with owning the team, having the tax breaks, being able to sit in the owner's box, all of those nice things. And no one really wants to go for that spot. And here comes the Sundowns that, maybe Motsepe, because he was who he is, he's bigger than the others. Maybe he doesn't have to play by those respect rules, quote unquote. And he came in and, blew everybody out the water. And now these guys are in the future. That's my conspiracy theory about the league. I think everyone was comfortable.
And look at it. a team like I will speak to them until they've been relegated. Look at them, Chippa United. They've been there for a very long time. It's the only team that is on the other side, or Port Elizabeth that side, right? But what are they doing? They've been there for almost 15 years or 20 or 16 or whatever, but they never attempted to even go for a final. You know, it's very rare. The last 8 and then they're out. You understand me? All the teams, what are they there for? What are they looking for? What is your ambition? Are the players going to play there just to get money? Are they there to maybe other players that are in PSL just to be seen on TV? We Islam say Kukuni or say Golden Arrows. That is what they're there for. You understand me? They are not there just to because of this is the gift that they were given by God to go and play and all that. I feel like that, you know. But I feel the teams are not being run properly and they are not being run professionally as much as they need to do. And I think the other teams, they're there because they're getting money from the municipalities, from the sponsors and all that. That is the only thing that they're getting. So they're there just to save the status. I'll save the status, I'll eat, and then I'll watch the money. Simple as that, as much as I see it. There's nobody akana ambition. Iphela kudlalwa nje. Pulukwane yabuya isimbi lapha ePulukwane idlala ilokudlala igame ngaphandle kuPulukwane ngale. Kule stadium sakudala abadlali baqede kusasa badlala neChiefs then the big stadium. You understand me? What are you there for? What are you there for?
I think I'm gonna open up the floor, guys. Let's have an open discussion now. For anything, that anybody wants to say. I'm gonna stop moderating this part, so you can just speak.
I can also add we point out Rosa, Mr. Oti. Yeah, like I'm not sure about it, but Ukuto did that admit last night. There was a guy we Pirates. I'm not sure about his name, but it's Umbata, who used to manage Pirates, and he also Ukuto gave him his flowers as well. So if you're going to play Sundowns and also play with, there was actually a guy with Pirates who was good, who was managing Pirates very well. So Pirates let him go, and we are I'm not sure if it's that Simba or younger. So
he's I think he's a younger, and he was at Simba as they were on their upward trajectory. But
yes.
Can I also ask, Mr. Okay,
so my question is, Mr. Oti, since you're saying Sundowns is doing all these bad things, what are the big teams are doing with about that? And to also like correct Utio his Sundowns didn't buy Maluleka. It was a free agent, same as Upilat with Chiefs. When Upilat went to Chiefs for free. Mabezokhuluma ukuthi Sundowns are buying ama superstars, ama rivals. Sundowns, if Chiefs once bought Torolpa, Chiefs once bought Castro, like Utah once.
Chief, they were finished, man.
No, you can't say they were finished because Pilias was at his prime in Sundowns. So
Maluleke signed a pre-contract in Sundowns, boy, just so you know.
No.
That's why he was not playing for the last 10 games the Chiefs. That's why he was not playing.
Chiefs decided to let Maluleke go. It's not Sundowns fault.
No.
When I
guys, as women, that was underhand tactics.
Let's leave
it. Sorry. Yakamoluleke, that was a sabotage. Leyo nje kuphela wona kuleyo ayilele bekuyisabotage le. Chiefs behamba bafethu.
But to be honest, Chiefs was also complicit in that. But I want to go to Maluleke.
Hey, Mr. Oti, mina bengifuna ukuthi yazi singavuli dictionary on such topics, yabo. Singabi technical, because you see now, someone will say Maluleke was bought by Sundowns, and then Omunye will say no, he was taken as a free agent, and then we will say, no, at no point was Maluleke ever a free agent. He was under contract with Chiefs and then moved to Sundowns, but signed pre-contract. But at the end of the day, his services were acquired to weaken Chiefs. Simple. So,
but then, I like the
Uncle.
Mr. OT, people I want to ask, what was Chiefs doing? What I'm saying is signing players in bad faith. The player was smoking dacha in the change room. All I'm saying is signing players in bad faith. That I have a problem with. And someone made a good example about that child, governor, who is doing very well. I do not want to go into what happens at private schools. However, I'm just going to say, imagine working hard. Mr. OT, would you not benefit right now from 2 million just into overtaking football? Would it not make your show better?
I would.
So why are we pretending as if money does not? Why do you want to say, hey, leadership? Let's not run away from it. It has assist to see this one child does not experience load shedding, while others are experiencing load shedding and candle shedding because they do not even have money to buy candles. Let's not go this child is such a great. You're benefiting from a circumstance, but we are not taking away from your hard work that you also do. You understand? So the money aspect, they're definitely benefiting, but it's not the only thing that makes them who they are.
I wanna bring us back sort of to the point, because I like what you said just now, and I think it points to a lot of this conversation. Guys, the Maluleka's issue, Kolani understands it and remembers it one day. Theo understands it and remembers it another way. Malume Kutsa remembers it another way. I might remember it. Isn't this part of what makes these comparisons so hard? Because when we think back, I've got an emotional connection to Kaizer Chiefs, so I can remember Umbesuma doing 1, 2, and 3. I don't necessarily remember what Bloemfontein Celtic was doing at the same time, or what any of the other teams are doing. So when we have a league-wide conversation about this, is that part of the problem with these comparisons, that we sometimes misremember things, or sometimes we put our spin on those things? And will the same thing happen 15 years from now? Mamelodi Sundowns, whatever's happening with Mamelodi Sundowns 15 years from now, maybe when we think back to it, Sundowns beyenza, so yenza. Now this league is more competitive. Isn't that part of what colors these convos?
Yeah, it takes 5 minutes. Sorry, Twincha. I know someone else should take the mic, but it takes even 5 minutes for that to change. Like I said, on Tuesday, we were complaining about a bad game. Mendieta comes and scores 94th minute. Wow, what a great performance. How much that showed that with the team you support, it will affect how you think about it. And also, the more distant the memory, the better it becomes. It's only a few moments where we are able to appreciate on time, in real time. And also, when you love someone, you also appreciate the highlights and ignore the lowlights. You understand? For example, let's talk about the GOAT, Mshishizoane. People are ready to say he's the GOAT after Namibia game, but which other game was he as highly intense in the tournament? I don't think there were as many where he was that aggressive about it, but they will point to that game and say, even in real time, Mr. Oti, they do that. You understand? It does not have to go 500 years. The proof is here, right next to us. You ask them, they'll tell you which he's been hot for a decade. Which decade? Are we in 2027 right now? We are in 2024, and he's not even. It's not even a decade for him, because in 2016 he was a bench warmer there at Sundowns, but we are told which is the most consistent for the past decade. So you are right, Mr. OT. If you support a specific team, if you support a specific individual, you'll always see the bright moments. If someone is and people are blessed, some people are lovable, and we have to accept that. For example, I've always stood on a very strange side on N'Golo Kante to say, I don't get why people exaggerate his contribution so much. And they say he's the best to ever do it. And I'm like, he hardly plays football. He played Boma 2 seasons and he's been injured ever since. You understand? But people love him. He's a very cute man there. He's very like magazine who smile and dance. He is that guy and people love him. So those things also play a factor. Are you lovable? Nah. How many people back you? How many people have a connection to you? You understand that if Umfukeng right now, even he's trending. We are even asking Hugo Bros with selection, boy. We asking Chomoso on number 10. Yet there's a number 25 there at Supersport who's very hot, doing the things day in, day out. Chandra Campbell, I think, is even younger than Umufukeng. He's a mainstay, but no one is talking about number 10 with him in Supersport. No one is, well, not necessarily no one, but not as many people are asking for him to be in the national team. So the people you relate to, the people who love you, your face, is very important.
Guys, it's open. Cause like for me, my thing is, again, I'm gonna use this as an example. Guys, the comments on my video about Dr. Nzwane all say the same few things. There was a game versus Brazil. There was a game in AFCON. There was a this, there was a that. It's become a legend. And the only question I was asking in the video was, 10 years from now, will it matter that Themba Zwane didn't show up for maybe a game after Namibia or before Namibia? No one's going to care. They're going to say, hey, that Namibian performance was incredible. Lomuntu win the AFL. Yeah, Lomuntu ends and so. He's got 7 leagues in a row. We're only going to be able to point to 1 or 2 things. And even in the grander scheme of this conversation about whether leagues are competitive, we're not talking about Ria Stars. Or where was Ria Stars on the log when these few teams were dominating? We're not talking about where, Kwakwa Stars was when these teams are dominating. We're basing a lot of our conversations about the teams at the top. And in fairness, we had more information about them because SABC used to show Chiefs and Pirates matches. They used to show those matches. We used to only interact with these players when it comes time for them to go play the big guys. So can we fairly say that something was competitive or not competitive, or whether one player was better than the other, when, you may have more information now at the current moment about Themba Zwane? But I mean, Doggies, I will not lie to you. I don't remember. I can't remember 5 matches from Doggies. I can't. I'm not even going to lie. So isn't that what happens in these conversations, guys?
Yeah, but Mr. Oti, the other thing is that all of us, or majority of us in this panel, you'll find maybe we're born late 80s, early 90s, and whatever. So that's when both doctors were playing. We don't have that recollection like our uncles, our fathers have. But with Umshishi, we see him day in, day out. That's why, unfortunately, Ubana more advantage because we're seeing him day in, day out. That's where now the conversation about competitiveness of the league now versus the time about doctor is still the same now. So I kind of understand the bias that we might have for Umshishi to say Umshishi is better than both doctor because we are seeing Umshishi now, right? But also at the same time, unfortunately, football is not just about the now, even the past counts. That's why even our data, like we have Puskas for Goleli based on what Puskas did. We have Joan Crave Awards, and all of those people made their name that time. We don't even know how they played, but we know they were great. You know what I'm saying? So we can't discount their greatness because we only have glimpses based on, and most of that it's a direct consequence of the fact that we were not around at the time when they were shining, when they were playing. But if you ask our uncles or our timers, they will tell us, hey, Mtokis was something else. You know what I mean?
Does media have a role to play in this? Especially, let's say, as generations go on. So, for example, is it a shame that it's very hard to find Mtokis' matches in 92, for example? Is it a shame? Is it part of the problem that as a media, as people who consume football, I can't. But then when I think about, I don't know, somebody like, I always make the same example, Henry, right? I have seen all of Henry's goals, for example. Have not seen the games, but I've seen all
Yeah,
of them. I can reference them. I can see them. Whereas
that's true.
Doctor, it's that one video that was great. Yeah, Dalane Brazil. Even though we know that those things exist, those archives
Yeah,
exist.
I think I agree with your assessment. We need to blame the media on that because when you look at Premier League knows how to package players and all of that. I mean, it even once did one players who have played only for one club. There was Gerard there. I think there was an interesting player that thing was interesting for me. It was called Matt Letizia. He used to play for Southampton.
Yeah.
He was
Letizia.
good. So I mean, we could have done that also with PSL, profiling PSL players like your Dr. Kumalos. I mean, there's a player that I like that used to play for Sundowns. I think it was at the beginning of Reiniaga Motsepe, Clement Mazibuko. Those players, nobody knows about them. But we know only which Manipiri games, but those players were good. They used to play for Swallows. Now, but there are a lot of players that you could profile and just highlight what they did at that time. But media is not doing that, unfortunately. So that's the sad part. It's not documented enough for all of this place. Only thing that keeps being documented a lot is the AFCON 96. There's documentaries after
Yeah.
documentaries. That's
Yeah.
why we can reference that easily. Yeah, but
Guys,
yeah.
what do you guys think? The rest of the guys, what do you guys think about this? Where we are right now with this topic?
Ngiyazwakala lapho.
Yeah, no, it's breaking a little, but carry on.
No, Mr. Uti, obviously documentation is important. However, I think another important aspect is that what is important to South Africans is not necessarily important to Europeans. Yeah, and when I look at King Chomosono, the Black Prince, funny that he's the Black Prince, but his boot is called King Chomosono. The odd thing is that I really remember his goals, right, from Ama highlight package. But what I actually remember is when he stands on the ball, spins on the ball while he's on top of it, and then walks like he's marching as a soldier. I'm sure everyone knows of that video. You understand? So what is important to, like when someone asks to talk to Kora how many goals, I don't think it's even fair because South African game, and as much as someone will think this is ludicrous, it's not really based on goals. You understand? We don't really celebrate people for the number of goals that they score. What I know is that side mirror, 16 valve, you understand? I'll always see the side mirror passes. I'll always see the Tsamayas. Even John Shoes Moshew, I'll only see the videos where he lays down that guy from, is it Zimbabwe or something? Hey, you understand? So that is what is important to SA football. Even when you look at the number of goals scored in the national team, with 32, we understand. And the other guys do not really score as much. They barely get to 10, 12 goals. I mean, Umshishi just got to 12 goals. And we love him so much. And someone might say, no, he only played. No, even when Stuart Baxter was coaching us at the AFCON, he was there. He was there playing almost every game, Mr. I think he'll be going to his third AFCON next year if should be qualified. It's the things that are important to us that maybe circulate more than what's important to the Europeans. Yeah, I understand. The number 10 jersey is significant to Brazilians, significant to South Africans. Who's the best number 10 to play in England, Mr. Uti? And is he English?
Best number 10 to play in England. That's a tough one.
Because they don't care about it.
Bergkamp, I'm biased.
Even though Beckham, the only thing I'm sure you remember is that pass here spin.
Because Beckham was
that one I've seen a lot. I've seen all of his highlights, that one. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, sorry. Because I was saying something.
Yeah, I think it's Wayne Rooney, but because Beckham was wearing number 7.
No, Beckham.
Yeah, Beckham, but it's fine.
Premier League. Oh. I thought you were asking England player, national player.
No, but it's England best number 10 to show that as South Africans, we value something different. And the highlight package that would circulate more would not be the same highlight package that will circulate in England. Maybe there is a highlight more. I mean, for example, if you roll down the years to other countries, they'll compile a small clip of someone just toe poking that ball into the net, toe poking, celebrate. But see, now when you roll back the clock, Mr. Oti, you see some of the, I won't say useless because I'm South African, but in the European sense, you will see some of the most useless highlights. Why is that part of the highlight? We understand. And that is part of the highlights with because that is what we love as South Africans. I understand. Ukora kamnandi is part of but what I know is that upasa kamnandi, utrepa kamnandi, lodge. You understand, Mr. Uti? Those are the most important things. And we have to be fair to ourselves as South Africans and say, maybe, and just maybe, what we are looking for is there, but in a different form.
So then, Malume Kuso, doesn't that get unfair? Because how I feel about it is that when we have those conversations about Abum Dogis and all those guys, it's a subjective thing based on skills and things but when we speak about current players, Abo Tembazwane, all of a sudden, now the goals, the performances, the what are now brought into it, especially since he's the current player. Do those things go into it? Because he's got those things. Will we only admire them later on, and then all of these stats and things will fall away?
I would argue that South African football is not even like that even now. The two most popular players, and I'm gonna say it for me, and I'm gonna impose it on everyone right now, is Losh and Tembazwane. How many goals has Zwane scored last season?
I don't know.
No one cares. But he's the GOAT. How many assists does he have last season?
No one knows.
How many? Even
the problem is when the comparison happens, not with the guys now. Like I've been hearing and seeing a lot of that debate that people are having in my comments about Doctor versus Uzwani. Hey guys, some of those things I'm just like guys.
I'll go and check, but I think the argument has very short legs and it ends go AFCON, which is just nearly AFCON.
Brazil.
But the Brazil game was hot, Mr. Oti. The Brazil
but I'm
game
just
was
saying
hot.
it's two instances. And I could argue that Tembazwane has more.
No, but Mr. Oti, Dr. won NSL Player of the Year. We just don't have that season on our TV. The media hasn't shown us why he won the NSL Player of the Year.
Nobody speaks about that. You get what I mean? So that's exactly my point. Nobody speaks about those things. It's Brazil game, of course.
And I wanted to part on this, Mr. Oti. Not to part, but to pause on this. There's another issue.
Yeah.
And I think it's more complex. Why you would not a package. It's the economy of South Africa and its standpoint in terms of as a developing country. That certain things are still commercially viable in this country than in other countries. Like it's a very huge kind of thing. It's a very complex matter because what is seen as accessible that side last is rights. Like we SAPC Anco selling things and there was a backlash. Why are you selling our stuff? Those things are still profitable in this very country. So you can't just and we're still learning into how to distribute them. You understand? They are possibly there, but because of the current laws that govern that sphere and because of the economic ramifications that might come into play, those things are kept away from Abantu. You understand?
But isn't it just gatekeeping? Because outside of the laws, I could argue that even the people that have those archives, they're not using them to their premium. Like for example, EPL will do Gold Box with Gary Neville. Gary Neville will sit down with Thierry Henry, will sit down with Alan Shearer, will sit down with Eva, and disseminate those things. They will sit down and, oh, now this was goal 35 and what was going through your head? No, we're playing Chiefs. The league was like this, whatever, right? We don't even see those kind of things, and not even to even go that far back. Just think about the example again that I always use. Banyana is an WAFCON champion. When last did you see Hilda Machaya's goals? When last did you see a trophy being lifted? Whereas Nai Ama Springboks chasing the sun, hey, there's all these things that are being done when that side is. That's what I mean about this as well.
Asithathe khona lapho, Mr. Uti, let me just show you something that I think we are undermining right now. SABC moved from one government to the next. You'll be surprised as to how much control the other guys still have over this package, and how much money they want for you to use that package. In as much as it seems like it's yours, there might be an underlying agreement, and this is all speculation, but it's strong speculation. Must add. For example, even things, small things like Bafana, the name Bafana had someone who owned it, who had to be paid. Even the national flag has someone's name on it. There are certain things that we take for granted in the country that are still in control of certain people, and Abe ignore. Now let me take you to the one that you've just referenced. Because you can the what. It happened now with SuperSport in charge, and we know they love rugby, and so they're able to package the thing without being bothered by anyone. They're able to distribute because they own the rights to each and every picture that they want to package in that thing. And we saw with CAF, before Dr. Motsepe came in, it was difficult to get a whiff of a CAF game. Now you can even watch. Last week we were watching Ahly versus Simba. It's because someone came in and amended certain contracts so that everyone can get a bite of the cherry. So now when SABC wants to do something, they actually own those images or subject to whatever the terms of the contract. So, and even AFCON, Mr. Oti, it was difficult for us to watch it because we had to go through France or that that broadcasting station made it difficult for everyone that would give in the SuperSport would buy 100% or whatever, and SABC would only broadcast late. These things, I think we take them for granted, and I've got a strong feeling that they also play a huge role in these things, Mr. Oti. I think it's just a matter of pulling a CD from the archives. Once you play it, you will get a call from someone saying, hey, in fact, you aired something that I have copyrights to. Can you please pay me my...
That's why I want to go to the guys that have copyright. So CAF has the rights. CAF has a certain amount of rights to those things. They've got a YouTube channel. They've got Twitter. They've got all those things. Surely for the good of the product, right? You would do these things because that's what grows the product. So the EPL understands that with our archives that we own, we go and we say, okay, let's go and figure out how to do this. Let's go and figure out how to do that. And even if there are those rules, I mean, it's not a new league. It's years and years and decades on. Surely, if they had the foresight, those things were meant to have been figured out. Do
the guys want to pick up before we make it a dialogue?
Yeah. No, that's why I'm like, guys.
Okay, while they wait for it, I want to take you to EPSL, CAF, Mr. OT. Two different managements. Yeah. CAF before Dr. Motsepe, we could already see issues regarding rights. Yeah, we could already see issues that someone is not able to stream games and the games differ somewhere. We could see that there was a definite headwind. But in comes leadership at Dr. Motsepe, and suddenly it's flowing. And suddenly people can now understand. We would see a game can play on SABC 1 and play on SuperSport 3. You understand? So the difference in that leadership, it does impact what you get to see. Understand? So EPL, it's a growth league, Mr. OT. But they've invested corporate proper. They know what to sell and how to sell it, and they do also have a bargaining hand. If you can even buy 20% or just first half and the second half, nothing in between will give you for X amount of money. But I think some people in leadership, they did not have that knowledge. You would see they can also do that. Instead, sold 100% of the product. And I believe long-standing contracts, which had to be amended by Dr. Motsepe coming in, affect what we get to see. I mean, if SuperSport closes down, Mr. Oti, and some billionaire buys those archives and just sits at home, and maybe, I don't know, Kutso TV takes over, do you think I'll be able to get the games from 3 years back without having to pay a fee?
No, I hear you. I think that's why I'm saying that I feel like we're just having the conversation from two different starting points. So my starting point is, as the rights holders, whoever it is, whoever owns the rights, it could be BN, it could be CAF, right? Surely to maximize your profit, you would create places where you market this thing well, or harken back and have these highlights and all of those things, so that your product can attract more money, create more money, not even in the sense of using your own thing. So CAF has studios, for example. CAF could easily do a thing with, I don't know, El Hadji Diouf. Come through, sit down, we're going to go through your highlights that we own, and we're going to disseminate those things to everyone. It doesn't have to be full matches, it doesn't have to be all of that, but we can disseminate them. And even from the point of view of, I'm a football creator, it's far easier to make football stuff about EPL than it is about South African stuff, right? I do a watch along on Facebook and they take it down. No visuals from the match, no nothing. I'm just talking about the match like we normally do. They take it down, they ban me. And then I go, but Kev, don't you realize that having guys like our George in the corner making content about this, having other people there, putting it out on YouTube, getting your Twitter stuff going well, the TikTok account, this, that, and really forcibly bringing these things. Who was that Egyptian guy? Abu Treka, highlights of those things, Sundowns winning the league. Imagine if we, in part of our contract with SuperSport, we say, okay, guys, there is a component where you have to play these packages that we have for you guys. Then you play Sundowns winning the league. That is going to invigorate and show people whatever. They show Pirates in a final. They show those type of things. More interaction with that stuff. Isn't it better for the league from a rights holder before you've sold it? Once you hold it, SABC apparently has archives of all of the matches and they can use them to their discretion, but they don't go and do it. Instead, you get SABC doing an encore channel that they control, and it's this small. Manje, I'm a 2000 don't know about this too more, and those type of things because of the type of control they exert. Whereas in England, they even partner with content creators and people and go, no, guys, you guys can produce these things as well. We'll work with you guys. Isn't there, man? There's a gap there in Africa as a whole.
There's definitely. Okay. Shout out to take over.
No, I agree with your assertion again, because for me, I don't think, even from a CAF perspective, we are really capitalizing on all of this amazing footage. I mean, we could have, before the World Cup, maybe CAF could be highlighting African teams that have reached at least Makotas, or maybe someone like Roger Miller, who was the oldest player to play in a World Cup, or even before CAF, they were supposed to be doing studio sessions with players who have played in these big games. I want to, for example, I think if I remember when there was one game, we finally think it was Egypt versus, I don't know, it's Ivory Coast or one of the big teams, but the penalty shootout in that final, the entire players were on the pitch, but they kicked those penalties and then they had to start afresh because everyone had, it went on for that long. I think went on for like 16 penalties, which has never been seen in world football, but nobody talks about that. So I'm saying there are a lot of things to make it more interesting, to make everybody look forward to the tournaments and all of that, even in terms of club football. I mean, look at the dominance, Ahly, Abu Treka, and all of these great players. We don't know much again. I don't think generation should know about even Abu Treka. Only those games that we watched, not, and luckily he was also part of the African CAF Champions in the Cup of Nations. So we saw him there again. Then that might have spiked the interest in him, So in terms of capitalizing, whether it's from a CAF point of view, they're not doing enough for me. Even down to PSL level, and supersport is silly because they do that for rugby, but they don't do that for football. And that's that for me.
Besides the rugby, there's an advert right now for Showmax where Don Robbie, AFTV Don Robbie, is doing a Showmax advert for the EPL thing that they've launched on Showmax. So the executives are there. They're available, they could do these things, but then the question becomes, why don't they do these things?
It's a difficult question for us to answer because we want them to do those things. Unfortunately, we don't know where is it stuck. And it's a bit unfair to us football loving because we see it being packaged well. EPL, even in La Liga now, is doing quite a lot well, man. I mean, they were. I remember watching Kombisa just Lama Stadiums, La Liga, and that was interesting for me to just see around Lama Stadiums, inside the stadiums, and all of that. And PSL, unfortunately, I know we don't own Lama Stadium, but just profile something, man. Give us some excitement. It shouldn't be just as dry as you're gonna watch the matches and then you're gonna watch basically Soccer Zone. There's a version here, Soccer Zone, go Super Sport. There's a go SAPC, and that's it. That's it. There's so much content that goes into football, and we're just getting about 10% of it. That for me is a bit of a problem.
Mr. Oti and Abu Timto, guys, I think Nitata light is this thing. With these things, sometimes there is just a French family enjoying their moeta, who have interests in bigger business, who have bought these rights. I am telling you, who have bought these rights, who are just waiting to sue you. You have it, it's there. Once you use it, they come in, they stretch their hand, they like, which is why you see some of the greatest musicians that they do not even have their own songs on their YouTube playlist because they know it belongs to Kana King, certain record label, and a certain record label has sold it to someone else. We've heard of people coming in and buying a catalog of Michael Jackson. People coming in wanting to buy a catalog of Justin Bieber. I think they eventually bought it, and he's like, I'm billion. Where now you have you thinking, okay, this is a contract between me and Bieber. Kanti, it has changed hands so many times. I understand. This intellectual property goes far and wide, Mr. Oti.
But I hear you, Malume Kuzo, but also in your example, Bieber is allowed to make as many TikTok videos as he wants to make. Why? Because they understand that us forwarding that stuff is going to make us money in the long run. Right? He may not be able to do certain things, but they've made sure that, like Tyler makes 100 videos when the single comes out, puts it out on TikTok, it gets buzz, it does all of those things. I am looking at like the SABC, for example, you can get the footage, apparently. You have to put in a request and pay a certain amount of money to the SABC, then you get the rights. But then I look at the SABC and I'm like, okay, what are you guys doing with the rights that you have? Outside of everything else, I get your point if I'm a third party, but I think I've moved from the third party to go, okay, Nina, first party. That apparently, look, the conversations I've had with people from the PSL and some of the things when I was trying to get the footage, apparently footage is there. It's sitting. It's available. They could pull it today and use it for whatever they want to use it. But because they're gatekeeping it to say, I want to keep it on SABC 1 on the Saturday when there's no PSL matches, I'll play a documentary about this thing. And that'll be the first and last time you'll be able to see it. And you're not going to be able to use anything from that. And I'm just going, Marau, SABC, all these matches, all of this stuff. You could be doing a better job on socials, on DSTV Plus, on SABC Plus, Supersport. You could be doing a job with the things that you own, as you are showing us you can do with the things that you've bought elsewhere. Why not just, do those things, even down to the teams, YouTube stars, for example, that side. Harry Pinero is a Manchester United fan. Manchester United is like, Zwagala. Kutso, re go TikTok, so Zwagala, shoot some stuff with us, let's do a thing, then you can put it out in your thing. Like those type of relationships, is it really all about rights, or is it about willingness and, the one to do it?
No willingness to corner, Mr. Uchi. It's a factor. If what you've been given is accurate and anything to go by, then it comes down to willingness or just waiting for the right buyer. But I'll just close off by saying they also sold the entire SABC encore to
multi-choice.
So that could be another factor, that they're also waiting for the highest bidder. And maybe the leadership just isn't as great.
But even there, it's co-owned. So yeah, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no. Speaking of, I think we also being quite reckless, because we're speaking of something which we're not privy to in terms of documentation to see if split sheets and all of that. But I just had suspicions that, knowing how these colonialists have, and I say this respectfully, sorry, Mr. Colonialist, don't be angry at me wherever you are. Knowing these colonialists, how they leave their fingers in all these pies, I thought maybe they might have been benefiting from these things.
Oh, but no, 100%.
You are better off calling them capitalists. It's a much safer word.
I don't think, sorry to move it, Kanaking, in a different. I don't think colony is a bad word, colonialist, because they call themselves British colony, but it's fine. Anyway.
The thing is, I'm continuing with this. I'm gonna probably close now, because the people that wanted previews are not here. They're gone. So it's fine. I think we can close it here, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I think that was a very good conversation. For those who are watching, I'm going to be back at 6 o'clock for the Banyana game, Banyana Nigeria qualifier for the Olympics, and then
that's a big one.
I wanted to talk, but then it's fine. And then Sundowns Yanga quarterfinal, the second leg of the quarterfinals. Maybe with the two guys that are here. What do you think about? Maybe we can just do a short thing where. What do you think, Mto, about the Banyana Nigeria game? What do you think about our chances, and Malume Kuto as well?
I'm nervous about this game because Nigeria has superstars everywhere, and this midfielder Yabo that plays for Juventus in the women's league there in Italy. She is on form. She's on fire. So for me, I think this is going to be one of the toughest games Banyana has had in a long time. Remember, when we faced them in AFCON, most of their stars were not around. Bebalimele and some of the players, they just joined Manje. So they're much stronger than they were when we faced them in AFCON. But I trust our ladies. I know that we can at least get some positive result. If we lose, I hope it should be just by one goal, man. It shouldn't be too much of a stretch. But I'm hoping...
Do you think the two games will come into this, the two legs? Do you think that might have a say in this?
I think so. It's a big game, so I don't expect it to be decided in this first leg. I just don't expect it to be decided in this first. It's going to be tight. Even in Nigeria, in the last game, they struggled against Cameroon. They only won it when they went at home. So if we can deal with them at home, I think we can do the business here in SA.
Madame Kusa?
Banyana Varuna. Look, the only thing I'm worried about is that they don't undermine us. They don't underestimate us. They know us as a country. We've beaten them at the biggest stage in terms of African football. We've beaten them, and we've done well at the World Cup as well. So they are under no illusion that we won't be catching them by surprise. We go into Nigeria as a respected team, as the champions of Africa. What worries me and what also comforts me is that we're not really a defensive team, Mr. OT.
Yeah.
Our main players are not defensive. So it worries me, can they keep discipline in Nigeria? But it also relieves me that they will not just be sitting back. About Jermaine, if available, and about Tembi, if all the stars are available, they will not be able to sit back. They will still attack Nigeria in Nigeria. So our chances of getting an away goal are very high. I'm sure it's like if you are a betting man, it will give you only 1.2. Which South Africa will score an away goal. I do see us scoring an away goal. I hope we get more than one, and I actually hope we get a victory in Nigeria, Mr. OT. Should I comment on the other ones?
We're coming. But I just wanted to ask you, Refilo's back. How big of a thing is that? Our captain Refilo Jan is back. Is it? I don't know how long she's been back. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how many games she's played up to this point. But what type of an impact does that have?
It stresses me that she's back and she's back in the team. Because I'm worried. Are we not maybe panicking by selecting her? Are we not gonna play her and see her pull a muscle to chase her umuntu? Because but also it could work in our favor. I'll go back to Tembi Nkosi playing for Pirates. MTN 8 final, comes back from injury. Young boy, Alien's game, and we win the final. So some players can bounce back from injury. And let's be honest, Mr. OT, in a big game like this, having watched other games, it's been tough there in the midfield without her.
I'm scared. I'm scared of that. The midfield and the back. I hope we get our defense right. That's with
Ulona, foul. Obiana, foul. Umatlano does not really look like an 8. Young understand she's a 10.
And I'm worried more about which keeper is going to be used for this one. I'm hoping. For me, I don't have confidence in Swart, but it's fine.
Let me just let him come in. Banyana Nigeria, how are you feeling?
Uti, just want to wish them all the best in Nigeria. Hopefully, we come with good result. If it's bad, at least let's come back with a goal scoring draw. Gianna, I think she's good for the dressing room, and if she's not fully fit, I think for her being in the dressing room will give motivation to the ladies. So let's see. Let's support the ladies as well. Come the second leg, let's go also to Loftus and support them as well. So good luck to the ladies, and let's hope they'll bring back the positive results.
Look, guys, this is a big game, and it's a big game more than because Nigeria beat us World Cup. AFCON. We are playing them now. We're going to play these 2 legs. Then Bafana is going to face Nigeria. I feel like now it's a country versus country thing. But in terms of the game, if she's fit, Refilo changes everything. Refilo changes the structure of the team. Refilo changes where Linda's going to play. Also the positioning of Bobo Sioposinwe and Bobo Tembi. So I think this is going to be a good game, an incredible game, and it's really the part to see how well Banyana has progressed, because it's our biggest rival, right? There's 2 legs. We're going to play today. We're going to play next week. I believe it's Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday at Loftus. So this is a big game for Banyana to come in and show us something. I hope that with everybody fit, our front is stronger than our defense. Our defense is usually the shaky one. But if we can have Refilo in, and then in front of her, Linda's free, Jermaine is free, the breadwinner's free, Khatana's free, I don't think that's an easy team to beat. And I think going forward, Nigeria would at least have to respect us on that end. Let's go very quickly as well and then touch on the other game that's playing tonight, guys. Second leg of the CAF Champions League quarterfinals, Mamelodi Sundowns versus Yanga. What are your thoughts about it?
You know what? I think Sundowns should win this game, but it doesn't work like that in football, unfortunately. They have to show up and they have to perform. And I'm worried about the form. Shaluli, there's something off. Ever since Alahlalo Mechi, so man, no. Now, ever since that time, I don't know what's wrong, but I don't know if the teams have figured him out or what. But even AFCON, he was not the most dangerous player in Namibia, you know. So I don't know what's off Ngoshalulile, but I hope he can come through for them, because if he's on fire, Sundowns should win this game. They're at home, they have to take the game to them. But I remember, I still have fresh memories here with that when they were playing in the CAF Champions League. They drew the game, but they conceded a goal, and then they went out because of that. And chances are, if their forward players don't show up today, they could possibly be out. But I doubt that's going to be the case, because Iyanga is going to be just trying to sit back and hold the mood transition, which sometimes is a dangerous thing against the Sundowns. So I'm thinking Sundowns could win this one comfortably, maybe 2-0.
But then I want to ask you, in the situation where the game goes to 70th minute, let's say, and it's 0-0, is there a situation where the pressure then falls onto Sundowns, knowing about the that thing? Maybe they need to go and win this game like that. Could there be a situation where Yanga just sits back as they did at home, and there comes a time where the pressure switches?
Yeah, it's possible. I think with Iyanga will plan this game in stages. They'll say, hey, let's just contain them for the first 15 minutes and let's see how we're doing. And then next 15 minutes, they'll do it in stages to try and contain his Sundowns. And once they get into Sundowns' mind, then it's a dangerous game for his Sundowns. I wonder if it reaches more 70-something and it's still not, then it's Yanga's game to lose now, because they would have been doing well to contain his Sundowns. To that point. Again, I always say about the Sundowns, if Sundowns score if first half, then the game is over. Then the game is over, because it can make them play freely. You know what I mean? They can play their normal game. But if they struggle to score and it goes for a prolonged time, it's going to be to their disadvantage. Unfortunately, some players might not be strong enough. They will have the withered game at the back of their minds. Yeah, but I'm hoping not, because, I mean, they experienced these guys. And I think Mshishi is back. Is Mshishi back?
Yeah, Mshishi is back.
Yeah. With him back, it's gonna change even the way they played. I don't think they will play the same. They played okay-ish in the first leg, but it was not like a proper Sundowns performance. Maybe with him back, that's gonna change things. I don't know. So we'll see.
Malume Kuto, Yanga Sundowns tonight. What are your thoughts?
Hey, Mr. Uti, see the last person that was mentioned. Hey, my worry is that he can come in and give you a super performance for 68 minutes, and then from then on he was born. I understand. What if by the time he leaves the pitch, it's still not? Hey, that might be an unfortunate thing for Sundowns. My events are unfortunate, but I just hope we'll see. Well, I don't really hope, but the way he won that day, maybe 1-1. 2-1 in favor of Sundowns. I do see Yanga pulling one into the net. I think the coach, just from a mental perspective, has pride. He would not want to defend 90 minutes against someone who was his understudy. Because
no, go on, because sorry, it cut there.
He mentioned that they were at Platinum Stars together, and Coach Rulani was still go under 19. So there is that bit of pride with Nyang Shawi Lentwana. But Lentwani is strong, I understand, Mr. Oti. So I see it 2-1, man, if not 1-1.
Malume Kuto, Rulani spoke of his players being, in the match that they played, what was this match that they played now? In the match that they played, he spoke about, let me just find it. Okay, anyway, Richards Bay, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
He spoke about how he was surprised that his players were not willing to take a risk we're not willing to play risky football or at least try hard. Could this be a game again if it gets to 70th minute and it's still 0-0 or they've been struggling throughout the game? Is this a game where we might see Sundowns act out of character at the end of the game? You know how usually they're very calm and very... But should it get to a point? Is there a point where that might happen?
I think Rulani was playing my mind games, Lapa. He knows exactly. He knows exactly that was his second team, and obviously he's trying to give the impression that they are struggling. And we know Nasser Dalabo Mshishe and all of these main guys, it's not gonna happen that way. They're gonna go after Ilo Iyanga. So he was just playing my mind, and also we can't blame those players. I mean, remember the last time they tried to go at the TS Galaxy and they lost that second team, Sundowns. So that could have been a factor too. But for him to expect the fringe players to play the same way the main players play, that's not realistic. And I know he knows that too. He was just, it's just a tactic. He was just throwing that to make it seem as if they're going to be struggling again. But we know it's not going to happen today because it's do or die.
He's not fighting anyone, Mr. OT.
Yeah.
In football, let him talk. I think
yeah, let him cook.
Okay, let me bring in Msabe. Msabe, as the only Sundowns fan here, what are your thoughts about tonight?
Hey, OT, to be honest, if I'm being honest, I'm worried about this game, man. The problem is the pressure. As much as we like to say we confident and all that, but then we under pressure. Yanga is the underdog here. Yanga has nothing to lose. So here, Sundowns, if we happen to lose this game, it's gonna be hard. It might change a lot of things in the team. So I'm scared, man. I've been hailed from Pedro, from Widad. These type of games, to be honest, I don't enjoy them. But yeah, we go there and we support the boys and hope. I trust Rulani and his technical team. I'm sure they've done their homework. They've done their rectification from the first leg game. Hopefully the players also come to the party. I don't know. Shishi has been long since they've been playing. Last game he played, it was in a national team. So I don't know how fit is he going to be. Shalulile, I'm not really that worried with Shalulile. As long as Shalulile is fit, if he's not scoring goals, it's fine. Shalulile offers us more than scoring goals. He's high pressing and all that. So yeah, I'm a bit worried, but hopefully let's not keep it until the 70th minutes, because we're gonna start to be desperate. And if we're gonna be desperate, then now we won't be playing our normal football. We'll try to play the long balls and all. But yeah, and also I hope the defense will don't make mistakes, because that's the only way Yanga can hit us. If we make mistake in the middle of the park, losing balls in the middle, that's where they're gonna capitalize. Because I don't see anyhow Yanga's gonna hit us playing football, but then it's gonna be on our own mistake. So if we can have zero mistake at the back, zero mistake in our middle field, I don't see Yanga scoring against us. But yeah, we need focus, and then we need to go to the stadium, sing for the boys, support the boys. I think they're gonna need us more than ever this time. Rulani have been calling for us, so yeah, we're preparing to go there. We wanna be there. We wanna support the boys. And let's hope it's going to be a good game. And maybe we score. If we score one, 2 more goals can come. We just need that one goal. I don't know where it's going to come. Maybe Mokwena might produce one of his collection goals. But yeah, we just need that one goal first half. If we don't get it, I hope we don't panic. We keep on playing our normal football. And the problem is the supporters. Is when the supporters start panicking, and then that energy goes to the players as well, and then they also start panicking. I wish the fan base today, the 57 of us, we go there, we sing for the 90 minutes and not try to panic, and then cause it's gonna rub off to the players. But then yeah, hopefully we win this one and we go to the semi-final OT. And yeah.
But tell me, Msabe, I've got two questions though. In your opinion, who is in that back four or back five? Who is in that back four and who is in the front three for you? Who would make it into this game, in your opinion?
So back four for me, it's so obviously goalkeeper will be Ronwen. It's gonna be Motaung. I wish for Kekana and Mbala center pairing. Because now we want to attack Yanga. I want Mudiba to play that left back. As much as Rulani is not a fan of Mudiba playing left back, but then he's gonna offer us more going forward if Yanga they're gonna be on that low block thing. So we need our Mutau and Mudiba to be more offensive. Middle of the park is gonna be the usual Mokwena, Alende. And then since Mudiba will be playing that that 3 position, then we can slot in and Mshishi on that 8, and then the front 3 maybe it should be Lodge, Ribeiro, and Shabalile. That should be our attacking lineup.
But
then we thought
you guys must go and buy a Lion Matches for your number 1 striker there, because there's something missing.
It goes every striker goes through that moment. He will go through. It's fine.
The power was in the Lion. There was a guy in the Bible whose hair was cut off and then the power was gone. It's in the Lion, my friend.
No, but then Chalulilo scored in the AFL final after that MTN 8. So that's not the reason. But then it's just form he will get there.
Who do you have it? Who's gonna play the Kutsia role?
The Lord should try and play that. The Lord should play that Kutsa role, because now we and also Mudiba. Remember, if we're gonna play Mudiba on that 3, Mudiba can also take in
invite.
Yes, can invite inside. So a more Mudiba and Vala should be on that tip. So but I'm hoping Lord is capable of that, because he was a midfielder as well. So and now he's been converted as a fullback, so he can try to play it. And also he has the pass, that long range pass as well. So I see Lord playing that, but then also Ukekana is capable of doing that as well. So if we can partner Kekana, bring that AFCON partnership there, and then the experience, I think we're gonna be fine. As long as we don't make mistake, I hope the Lord that don't make mistake on this game. If also Alende can be on top form, Mushishi dances, we're gonna break that low block, and then hopefully also Mapena is on the bench. If anything goes wrong, Mapena, I think he can also be the key to that low block. Maybe he can give us something on the bench as well.
Okay, hey, Malume Kutu, I'm gonna give you some time there, just to give me a final thought before I close it.
Yeah, no, Mr. Ochi, I think by summarizing, even though I believe the Kutsia role as it's being tagged these days, it's just for particular Rivaldo Kutsia. It's not necessarily part of the system Sundowns, and we've seen them before him and after him, because he's an injury-prone player, unfortunately. He can survive without him. Play the 2 thing, that 5 at the back with Kanakimbang, the 3 of Abdi as well, AB, Umvala, no Kanakimbang, Grant, and then have Mudiba on the left back. Have Kanakimbang, the 2 in the middle. So it would be 5 at the back, 2 in the middle, and 3 up front. The 2 in the middle being Alend and Kanakimbang Tembazwane, not Tembazwane, Alend and and then have your 3, man. You know your 3. As like you have Shalute, you have Zwane, and you have Costa. You understand? In that way, that 5-3-2, I mean that 5-2-3 or whatever you call it at that given moment, you will always have Mudiba come in to play Ibola like Mapakatini. You can also come in to play Ibola Mapakatini in attack, but you'll always have Iwithka Costa, Iwithka Tembazwane again, Iwithka Mudiba again. and you'll also have mokwena supporting. And I think that's been the more consistent lineup here, Sundowns with
the most successful one. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they can just play that kind of thing formation, if I didn't go out, Mr. OT, it's do or die. So interesting thing is born. Abafakela abantu laba abathembile bakwazi ukubuya necup, otherwise bazothola inkinga.
Okay. No, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a good show. My thoughts are very simple about Sundowns game. I think the most important thing in this game is going to be time. There will come a time in that match where the pressure starts to flip. And if Sundowns don't handle business early, I think they're going to struggle. But I think, as Malume Kutso said, go back to what has been working. The Kutsia role for me is a 4, but it's a 4-6. So Kutsia becomes the first person to get the ball, and then Budiba and Allender come in, or Allender can drop in behind, and those two can go above him. But it's important to have one of those midfielders that connects the play. And when they get up front, I pray that Lodge doesn't start. It must just go Zwane, Ribeiro, Shalulile. That was what was working in the beginning. Those spaces were created for Ribeiro to take advantage of them. Go back to that. No more experimentation, guys. No more weird half space balls and all of those things you're speaking about. This is where you need to play that first team and play them. We all know what the first team is. I feel like all of us know. And as much as people might want to make it seem as though there's parity within Sundowns all across the board, we know who the first team is. Play the first team, win the game. I think Yanga's going to come with a low block. I still genuinely believe that Yanga is not coming to this game to try push you guys and try win. I think Yanga, last year they didn't make it into the Champions League at all. Yanga's going to come into this game and go, we've drawn the first game. Let's see how far we can take this with a draw in the second game, because all that will happen is that Mamelodi Sundowns becomes the team that is under pressure. And when they're under pressure, and what we've seen from Rulani, and hopefully this is not the case today, he tends to blink first and make mistakes and make changes and become like Upep. He's Upep in cup finals, in knockouts, where he starts overthinking and starts doing weird things. So hopefully they can keep their composure. But let's see. Let's see if Sundowns can make it through to that semi-final, possibly get to the final, get to the Club World Cup, because that should be the big goal for Mamelodi Sundowns as it stands. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back at 6 o'clock for Banyana versus Nigeria. Then we'll transition into Mamelodi Sundowns versus Yanga. So we're going to be on live for quite a bit. It's going to be from 6 o'clock to 10. So please come join me. Follow if you have not followed. It'll be a watch along. I'll probably open it more often than not so that we can have those conversations more often than not and go through that. Thank you to those who watched and followed on TikTok. Thank you for those who subscribed and watched on YouTube. Guys, we went over 5,000. I believe we're over 5,100 right now, subscribers. It's incredible. Thank you guys so much for your support on that side. Please continue watching the videos. Please continue supporting, and please continue coming to the show so we can have conversations. The show is on Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. This, of course, was a members show, Fridays at 12:30. If you want to be a member, you can hear. There's a lot of smart people in this group that I have learned a lot from, and we speak a lot more than this. This was just giving you a glimpse to the conversations that we have on that WhatsApp group, where we banter, we go back and forth. Hey, it's really a great place to be and speak about football. If you want to be part of that, go to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and then you'll gain access to that WhatsApp group, and then we can have more conversations, much longer than 2 hours. You'll get to hear from all of the members. Some of them couldn't make it to this show, and you'll be part of the members, and you'll be, more importantly, one of my breadwinners. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys then 6 o'clock tonight. Bye, guys.